Caleb from Rock Blocks. Today up on the lift we have a Subaru Outback Wilderness. The install we're going to be covering today is for this Wilderness here and the regular Outback. This is a new variation to our lineup that we're doing for the Wilderness. The changes that you'll see mostly occur in the rear and how we're going to install it. Also with this install we are going to be installing it over the OEM splash guards. So let's go ahead and get right into that install. The tools required for this install is a flathead. You'll need a level to check level for your flat. You'll need a Phillips head screwdriver, a 10mm, and a 5/16 socket. Those are required to remove the OEM screws and hardware. Here we have your front flap laid out. What you'll get in your kit is the flap for that corner and the hardware. We'll put the breakdown on the screen right now. Something special to note about the front is the spacers come in two pieces. This stacks up to be a 15mm spacer. When installing with the OEM splash guard, you'll only need 10mm, and if you're trying to add more clearance on that inner mounting point, you can always go down to a 5mm or no spacer. So it allows it to be modular on that inner mounting hole to tuck the flap closer to the liner, increasing your turning clearance. Here we are at the front of the vehicle. Today we're going to install with these in place, but to begin I'm going to remove it, show you the internal mounting points and where you would replace the inserts or clips if you do not have the OEM clips provided with these splash guards. More so on the non-Wilderness Outbacks. So let's go ahead, we're going to take our 5/16 and remove the 3 screws holding it onto the inner portion of the fender. Now we're going to grab our 10mm and undo the screw on the bottom side of the splash guard. Here we have the 10mm. We're going to start undoing it. Now we can set that to the side. And with those removed, we are able to gain access behind our liner, and you have your clip here, and your clip here. If you need to, we provide replacements to put those over those mounting locations. The factory ones in this case will work, so we'll hold on to these for a later date. And now we're going to reinstall the OEM splash guard just with that 10mm on the bottom. The rest we'll use the provided screws in our kit with the mud flap over top. That 10mm back in place, we can grab our flap. We're going to grab our longer screw with a washer, and we're going to put our spacer on the back side. For use with the OEM splash guard, we're just going to use the 10mm, the larger spacer. If you don't have this, you can use both, or if you have oversized tires, you can use less and less spacer, so that way you can get it closer here, so that way your turning radius is unobstructed. Now we're just going to hold it in place and get a second screw started. Align in the second hole. Start that by hand. And now our last screw. Align the top hole. That started by hand. We're not fully tightening them right now. We're just getting them tight enough to help the flap stay in position. Now with it tight enough, we can go ahead and adjust it. Set our angle, checking with a level. I like to pull the bottom out just a little bit to add some negative camber to it, just to make it follow the tire. Makes it look really good. Now that we have our angle set, we'll go ahead and fully tighten these down. Now that we've fully tightened those down, you can repeat those same steps on the other side. Let's go ahead and jump to the rear. Here we have your rear flap laid out. What you'll get in your kit is the flap for that corner and the hardware. We'll put the breakdown on the screen right now. With the rear, there is this optional cutout here. If you are installing without the OEM splash guards, you'll want to keep it. If you are installing like we are today with the OEM splash guards, you'll want to remove it. And all you'll need to do is either take a razor blade and just cut the 4 tabs, or you can just flex it back and forth until the tabs break, like so. Now with that removed, it's ready to be installed over the OEM splash guards. If you are installing without the OEM splash guards, you'll need this lower mount, which will correspond with this inner mounting hole right here. To prep that, you'll just take your clip and slide it sideways and align the hole with the short arm on the metal bracket. Now, let's go ahead and install the flap. Now we're at the rear of the vehicle. What we're going to do is remove the screws holding the OEM splash guard. Bit right here, and then we're going to pop this rivet just by pushing it in, which will then release it and be able to pull it out. Now we're just going to remove these screws here. And we are going to just take the tip of our Phillips and pop that in. You can use the flathead that you have or a smaller flathead just to pop it in. It's a reusable rivet. Now at this point, if you wanted to remove the OEM splash guard, there is an insert here and here. You'll remove those two, and which will gain access to the bottom mounting hole, which we'll go ahead and put a clip of that right here with the mounting bracket. That bracket is going to come forward and face up with the clip on the front side so that you can use that 4th mounting hole. For this install, we're only going to use these 3 mounting points. We're going to reuse the 2 clips here that are here from the factory. We provide clips to replace those. For the upper one here, we're going to place a clip over it, and how you'll place this clip is the same that you'd place these. Is we're just going to take it and we're going to slide it over the inner mounting or inner frame just behind the plastic, like so. And now we have 3 clips to mount our flap. Now that we have our flap and our 3 screws that we're going to use to mount, this inner mounting hole won't be used. And as you saw before, we removed the inner portion here to help clear the bump that is right there. If you remove this, you can keep this here to help keep that blocked off. So now we're just going to go ahead and begin by mounting on the bottom. And then we're going to align our second hole, working our way up the fender. Alright, now that we've got those tightened down just lightly, we can grab our level, check it, set our offset, set our angle, get our flap into the position that we want. And once we get it where we want it, now we're going to fully tighten these 3 mounting points down. For those who remove the OEM splash guard, now you can use your 3/4 inch screw with washer and screw into your L bracket in this 4th location here. But for this install with the OEM splash guard, we are good. This is fully installed. You can repeat those same steps on the other side. Thanks for watching.